This is the LDS Church here in Richmond, Washington. This is the professional vice president and president's office. And this is on Gage Boulevard, where Social Security office to be Gage Boulevard, and also the other office on Gage Boulevard for the Social Security office that carries out services and inquiry services, you can see, and the increments of their services, you can see. State patrolman was killed at apartment 205, Secretary Apartments. I'm at Ritzville, 210 West Broadway. Mr. Judge Miller, Mr. Dixon was attacked on the sidewalk. Not the first, twice by the same officer. The same officer carries a taser, a gun on person, carries a taser, a knife on person with a short blade. You know, he gets blades about that big. But he carries a knife about with straight blade. Carries a gun off on duty. And he wears various vehicles around. Knowing for that fact, Mr. Dixon went to go confront this officer that attacked him. And I got the sealed documentation on me, so if it does ever happen again, I got it on person. But you know for the fact, I got broken devices, Samsungs, and also some other devices. And this is P.O. Box. This is John Cooney Law Firm. I called him Mr. Dallas Cooney and Jim Cooney at 330 West Indiana Avenue, Spokane, Washington, 99205, 509-598-2677, 1-888-302-2613, fax 509-325-1859, emergency phone number 509-327-6000, also 509-326-2613. Recollection report, Bill Gates, the founder of Bill Gates Foundation, himself Bill Gates. You know, that's what happens when Roberta has sex with Bill Gates, Mr. Donald Trump, and his thugs, Colin Powell, of course, his thugs, showing up at 1313 West Grand Ronde, beating up and kidnapping Roberta Barela, beating her up. So much fluid in her head. There's so much fluid in her head, she had to drain one ear to one ear. So she had to sleep on one side and to sleep on the other side, and then take pharmaceutical pill for the drama. And then a Mexican immigrant pushed her off a cherry tree ladder, and she fell off a cherry tree ladder. So Bill Gates, 1835 73rd Avenue, Medina, Washington, 98039. Carol J. Benzel is a witness. She asked what happened. I was attacked by the same officer. December 3rd of 2018, and also September 27th on a Friday. I don't owe nobody money. I pay tithing here from Mueller's Funeral Home. Mueller's gave me $1,000. I gave Andy Mueller the $1,000 at 7112 Okanagan. Used to be Cunalt, C-U-N-A-L-A-T-L-T. Carl's Jr. used to be Cunalt, now it's Colorado. UBI number is 602720. McKinnon Law Firm, PS 74 East. We're going to take a walk around because I don't want to be disturbed. As you can see, the chief and the vice president's award, and also my information on tithing that I paid in full at 895 Gage all over. Gage. Now, 895. This is 895 Jesus Christ Later Saints Voice of Services, but they provide services with right. As you can see, the 895 address is right here. 895, which is Administration Office, which is here, Latter-day Saints. The LDS Church and Vice President services in Pasco and 20th. They have these services increments on file. Got my tithing. Before services being attacked, DOL, Department of Licensing, Mr. J. Mueller. Oh, nobody nothing. Zero balance of financial obligations, services, tickets. I got a CDL license and also a chauffeur's license, UBI number, which is carried with the last name. And also Ivanka Barela being murdered, suffocated, strangled at Department 205, but state patrolmen still exist. For that reason, that's what happens when, oh, nobody nothing, because they talk all that shit, mother and father. Instead, state patrolman, Department 205, here I stand in front of the Trump Towers. That's the Trump Towers at Bond, and that's, of course, Jason Traeger with Donald Trump, and that's his real son. You know, people try to provide services, start their increments in their family history center. Once you look on the service here on the wall, and that's Felix Barela. You know, Donald Trump's been in the area a long, long time. He comes here with the Catholics, Father Tom, Father Dylan, Father Richard, President Hinckley, Mr. Taylor, Sheriff Taylor, U.S. Marshal Taylor, and also there's Mr. Keene on Keene Road, and also Mr. Hatcher. He has been suspended for a long, long time for race services, and the church, Utah, the National Recovery Center, the Trump came all the way down and because of the earthquake, and they took the golden statue down because of the earthquake that happened. A golden earthquake applying that service. Now golden Trump, the Trump has been pulled out. Now Jason says, holiness to the Lord of the house of the Lord. Holiness to the God, the house of the Lord. No, the seven-headed serpent with crowns. There's a seven-headed serpent that had crowns, and the crowns had crowns on it. The man from the represented the army, looked like the army, had a sword that came out of its mouth. Every time he spoke, it came out slitting throat of the dragon. And there's seven heads, seven crowns, like Burger King. They have crowns, you know, Burger King, like Satan himself. Three-headed dog that devoured everything in its path. The seals that been broken, they shattered, and promising chastity of services, meaning having no criminal sex or having babies or children with any other man, and death do you part, richer and poorer. Increments to their service. Mr. Donald Trump knows this by heart. He knows this service because it's true. By the LDS Church increments of written by Prophet Joseph Smith. Now, Prophet Joseph Smith was antagonized, dealt with, tortured, and maimed, and Utah has dealt with a earthquake situation, calling USS Arizona and USS Abraham Lincoln, USS Washington, the Fort Enterprise, and also the Fort. And the Fort is a fleet. It's a ship that provides services for people in need and desperate acts of war and war crimes. In person, they have litigated services. They got a key access to your Melchizedek priesthood, which is achieved here. Mr. J. Mueller, Frank Musco, and J. Mueller is United States Air Force. Mr. Frank Musco United States Navy. Leonard Bambuck, United States Marine Corps, and Daryl Johnson, United States United States Army, but he's a Green Beret. Now, the Coast Guard, Mr. Stephen Hernandez, he's in the Coast Guard. He's active military corporal, lance corporal, and he was going into services of being a fleet mechanic at Balcom and Moe, which is called Mr. Cepeda, Father Tom, Father Richard, Father Tom, and Father Dylan, and Mr. Cepeda killed Mr. Hernandez. And Mr. Cepeda is a priest over in Othello, Washington. He's a priest, and he applies his services as a priest at Othello, Washington. And the priesthood, Metaphysic, Ironic priesthood, also the Catholic services, Catholic services, catechism increments, and also the Montreal services. Banquet Party, Restaurant, Bar, Motel, Ajmer Singh Nijjar, Cimaron 5, INC, Banquet Party, Restaurant, Motel. But array from services around the community, there's a tithing that there is obligated by, and every way, shape, and form. There's a tithing that is applied for, every shape, way, and form. Tithing is applied by individual sarcasm and increments that they provide at the Church of the Latter-day Saints. Now, as you can see, the tithing, got a gallon of water and some bread, but the tithing that they apply, they got increments of the percent of their tithing that they paid for increments for the services. Now, the services they provide for LDS Church, they have priesthoods, recoveries, and this is 2001. Now, 2001, they have the erected of 2001. And 2001 is erected. You can take a good visual of right there. Yeah, 2001. That's September 11, 2001. USS Washington was under traumatic first response, and Abraham Lincoln and USS Arizona, increments of the Lone Wolf, Idaho, the SAS, Los Angeles, all these increments of San Diego, all these units, ground forces, and airstrikes increments of applying for the door entranceway, which is now the statue which has been fallen from Utah. It's not fallen, just take it down so everything can be repaired. Everything's going to be repaired in a way that rebuilding the statue of the church that provide now. Jay Mueller is the church and president, vice president, since the, as you see, apply the individual service, or applying the individual sarcasm. But you can take a good visual of what it looks like and what after it looks like, because the service that they got, you got it online. You got the Kim Wayman, Secretary of State Kim Wayman, Larissa Perez, who is Human Resources, Kurt Slinger, Jay Mueller, and also the mother, father, and brothers of Mueller administration, father, brothers administration, Mueller's and Amy Mueller, and also the little girl with Amy Mueller at the Mueller Funeral Home as a child, a little child infant in a Ford Focus. A Ford Focus, there's a Ford Fiesta, but there's a Ford Focus. There's an automatic and stick for Amy to drive around for the newborn child that's in the car seat in the booster chair eating inside the Mueller's Funeral Home. But the monument has fallen from Utah for the Natural Disaster Act, which was called for response unit and recovery service for all the data and information that's recovered. There's a status report, there's a memo. This Richland City Hall has the flag, and there's the flag, George Washington, the portrait, George Washington, that applied on increments. on the array services. You can take a look around. You can look. This all increments in providing the services, walkway entrance, and their service that they provide for the increment sanctions that have been applied for the individuals that didn't respect the LDS church or any way, shape, and form. And it applies to every individual that correspond to service here at the church of the LDS Church on Gage Boulevard. Social Security office, for one, applied a serious chore and task for multitask increments that they can provide. The shackle, the plates, the services they provide, people that are bored or not nothing to have nothing else but to do but get in trouble. There's some stationary services that the classes they can take. There's some video recording, visual increments. There's some material that they could study. If that doesn't work, they can put them in the boot camp, and in boot camp they have Bible study. And then the Bible study, you have boot camp where they have people literally take their heads off with their bare hands. And then some are wrestlers, some are professional football players, some are black belts, some are claiming to be in 7th or 6th degree black belt. You got professional football players professionally hurting people for a living. And then they come here and come to LDS Church and discover Felix Barela. They find their waves and they want to sign papers and documents, and then they have testimonies and correspondent classes, and they don't have no preliminaries what's coming or what going on the property estates or what kind of property or estates. And they have this what would be called the Cooney Law Firm. He's a judge, John Cooney, and also administration. Mrs. Taylor, the daughter, the Sheriff Taylor, and also Mr. Taylor, and also Mr. King, and also Steve, and there's all these individuals. And then Mr. Hatcher, of course. Mr. Hatcher had to deal with Mr. Obama's situation and being confined at Benton County Justice Department by Andy Miller and Sandy Strong, Dick Cheney, and Liz Cheney, and also the administration officer, which would be Kadia Rice. She's the Anchorage Department of Defense, and Mr. Manis, which has been fired twice and booted twice and escorted off the property twice. The fleet services, the fleet mechanics, the aviation campaign, the United States Air Force, Mr. Mueller and FBI Academy, Mr. CI Academy, which would be assigned Mr. Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney, for his campaign for Desert Storm, and also increments from George Bush, original George Bush, and Mr. Junior George Bush. There's Walker and there's Senior, and also Mr. Administration Campaign Ronald Reagan, honoring his role and services for his testimony of being brave since the increments of their no military leave, Mr. Colin Powell, and no military experience, Mr. Donald Rumsfeld, and also increments for the services they applied. They're Mr. Dale Johnson, he's a Green Beret, but his services are no more longer needed. Mr. Leonard Bambach no longer needed because this is increments of his implementing his services for his headstones, plots, and his array of his maps. These are maps of the whole place. His maps of the whole place, even underneath the whole place. Now, Grant County Courthouse, and this Secretary Kim Wayman, she's at the Grant County Courthouse at the time duration from the George Washington House. Now, George Washington walked from that mountain range all the way into the Sacagawea area, all the Columbia Park. There's the Simon's Mall, which would be the Indian reservation. George Washington, there's wagons, wagon rail pilgrims, and also increments for their services for cattle, stock, and populated with Yakima and Colville and South Dakota. South Dakota was here. All teepees, tents, and also the settlement into the river, Indians. So this monument is pretty much September 11th, 2001. And it's been uprised, and it's Moses Lake, Washington, Grand County Courthouse, Dano and Garth, and that's Dano and Garth Prosecutor, 509-754-2011, District Court, Superior Court Prosecutor Extension number 3971, Washington State Patrol Office, 509-765-6175, which is Mr. Hanson. He was recorded the whole time. That information ain't their information. I walked from I-90 to go to Carol J. Benzel's courtroom so I can make the date so I'll have no issue warrants because I had to walk I-90 so I can make my appointment, which is in 24 hours. You can't walk that in 24 hours. You can catch the GTA. You can go to International Airport and catch the GTA and get into Othello within 24 hours by walking on I-90, which I did. Bill Gates, 1835 73rd Avenue, called Mr. Bill Gates up, letting him know that I can give you a recollection report. And when it catches the phone and somebody picks up on the landline, it downloads this to Microsoft increments of all of the direct deposits for this church. Mueller's Funeral Home increments on the service for Stephen J. Feliz. That's Mrs. Rodriguez. That's Mr. Kevin Holt. Oh, Mr. Kevin Holt, Mr. Norma Rodriguez has been practicing law for a long, long time. Ever since she was little, and when Rodriguez and the state patrolman was murdered, apartment 205, and then they took their body and dragged it out in Pasco and left it on the street and made a lie where he was killed at. The plot, the increments, the headstones, double death urns, the crematory urns, the cremator, which is an old cremator like Burger King and Carl's Jr. conveyor belt. Put it on the when it comes off the conveyor belt, it goes on the gurney, and then you put it onto the conveyor belt, and it cooks like meat, like hamburger patties, like Carl's Jr. Burger King. You put the conveyor, cooks your body up. But you got to put it on the gurney and put it back in there again and again and again. Put the body in there again. 300, 500-pound body in there again, and again. One body all day. A dead body in there every day on a gurney, a whole day. 300, 500-pound body all day. Cremator, 2 hours. Very heavy body, 300, 450. 500-pound body in a cremator, 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 3.5 tops. Big body. Put a shamu, you put a sperm whale, put a big old gigantic heifer in there. Anybody at 700, 900 pounds, you squeeze somebody in there, you gotta cut their legs, cut their head off, so you can squeeze the head in. Maybe he's 8 foot tall, gotta cut the head off, cut the legs off, put in parts and put it in the cremator. See? McKenna Law Firm, PS Corporation, 740 Olive Avenue. This is Olive Avenue, Moses Lake, Washington. 98837 509 765 4451 1855 Law 8848. Schultz Talbot Wallace, he has a retainer of $10,000. So he implies his increments of his tithing because there's a church there. Right now, I can't miss it. It says University of Washington, which is Seattle on Pike. Starbucks, which is campus city of Richmond, Washington. Bill Gates, you give him a phone call. He has all the download Microsoft component service for that phone call by Felix Barela. See, Mr. Brandon West, very bad if you don't show up at court, which he never showed up at court. He never showed up at court. He never showed up at the church's services. He never showed up. I owe nobody no money. People lie. You have a dead body, state patrolman body right here, Mr. Soderman. And the gun and the services and their ordinances, the community coming from Ritzville, Washington, driving to Sacagawea Apartments, my mother, father, grandfather, brother, Fabian Barela, Lower Barela, Carrie Barela, Carrie L. Rung, prosecutor. She's a judge now, because you have a dead state patrolman right there. And apartment 205. apartment number 602, 603, 304, apartment 205. See, the Indians own all that property. Saudi Arabians own all that property. And the Chinese want to buy the property, but that property ain't for sale. China ain't for sale. Ain't gonna sell it to China. Ain't gonna sell it to Japan. Ain't gonna sell it to Korea. Ain't gonna sell it to the government. Ain't for sale. And there's a dead state patrolman right there. He was talking all that information. You know how they have sex. You know, having come into the sibling and the orifice of the hormones of the fetus of the sperm that injects into the cell and that punctures into the womb, your X and Y chromosome to the chastity of cervices, which actually that's the Twin Towers that's in rubble right there. That's the dead state patrolman. Mr. Tillman, the statue of Tillman, Arizona. There's a big statue of him, you know, having sex with McCain and Senator McCain, Roberta McCain, and you sign that signature, there's their dead body right there. You go 1313 West Grand Ronde, you can go see Jason Traeger, Kayla, Alicia. She's there, you know, he's a doctor, a nurse, practitioner. You see him driving a white, brown Pinto and a white Shelby bought by U.S. Bank by South Dakota. There's dead state patrolman right there. There's a driver's license, Social Security driver's license missing. There's a CDL, transfer ID, CTSAC, fuel cards. Right here. You got the Gold's Gym. This big guy talking shit. I'm still outside waiting for him. They call the cops, administration officer, drive around. They show up the cremated, the funeral home, famous residencies, the UBI number, you know. Show up in California, come back to California, go to Seattle, come back. Mr. Hatcher with all these stripes and representing a murder case that he didn't do anything in purporting to provide services. The water, the sewer, the garbage, electricity, the nuclear power deterrent, hammer mill A, B, and C, and also the engineering match for the scales. They're downloaded and melted into a alloy component where you can move the raw material into containers. Actually, you can put your own hands on it, just like San Luis Obispo, California, and you can have encounters with nuclear power deterrents and take the nuclear isotopes, which are injected in cancer societies, people's necks, and pharmaceutical by pill. And marijuana compound facility that I have for University of Washington, make it legalize the increments of the services for whatever that was all about for the services they provide as increments for the tithing. So it's pretty much all documented in the paperwork engineering and also services for any vacancies or services and increments of any way, pace, shape, and form. So you talk all that increments and improving the contractors. You take the body, determine the body from the urn into a concrete liner, orchid, casket, Monticello, right here on the spot. Now the uniform individuals for the S and Social Security office, and then services, they have the inquiries, the deposit inquiries. Murder case, Gage, murder case, Gage, murder case 8131 Klamath Cincinnati. So we're here to renovate and bring this sanctuary to maybe a safe haven. You can take all the angles you want. I'll be Mr. Superior Court Dixon, tell him that I was attacking a sidewalk. There's $7,000 on the ground. Stolen Social Security, driver's license, CDL license, chauffeur's license. Air Force One is cleaned by hand. All the increments on rebar, concrete is done by hand. The headstones rotated in all locations on Mueller's funeral property, which is Mr. Elio and Homer, Eric Benson, Dale Johnson, Green Beret. All that information is downloaded in every shape and form. Plotting or driving up the headstones, talk all the shit, you roll it up the window, talk all your shit how you want. Increment service, you prosecute increments and process, do this or that. Whatever shape and form, nothing murder or threats came out of your mouth, any shape and form. There's a dead body right in the background. And that's with me. I'm with Jay Mueller and her brother and sisters. And also the little girl that was in the truck at the Ford truck, Ford Focus actually, Ford Focus Festival. A stick, and there's automatic, but this one had car seats, and then also inside the service, inside the building. Samaritan Healthcare, Ethan Washburn. You know, 509-793-9780, fax 509-764-3246. Now, representative services they have, their increments, of all their money received in full amount. And close encounter measurements and increments of providing their service for that every dollar, penny, cent, dime, nickel, and of course, dollar piece, 50-cent piece, maybe a buffalo nickel, maybe some jewelry, maybe some all diamonds. Give you all diamonds as gold. Give you all diamonds. Biggest diamonds you ever have on this ring. Very nice ring, yeah. You give it to you, and you probably can melt it down and use and galvanize to pull the diamonds off, and then sell those for. I'm sure you made a lot of money off that. A lot of money off that. Now, Facebook and your Apple ID certification on your Google password, and also your Apple ID and your pass, and also your pet, your car, your parent, whatever questionnaire services you got going on at that day and time of your offense. It's all right here. It's very self-explanatory. It's pretty intimidating, isn't it? Ain't that scary? That's unbelievable. What is that scary, or is that the real thing? That's Bill Gates, 1835 73 Avenue, Northeast Medina, Washington, 98039. Mr. Carol J. Benzel, 509-488-3935, and that's 425 East Main Street, Othello, Washington, Suite 400. Now, Stephen Felice is 190 East Main Street, Othello, Washington. Mailing address is P.O. Box 2825, Othello, Washington, 9934. Email is info@sjfelicelaw.com. Phone number is 488-3303. Fax is 509-6373. Now, Church Tablers has an increment. That's George Washington's house. Man, you can't miss it. The real George Washington house. Where he fought all those Indians, the tribes. They're called Pisces. Pisces is Teleman members, ISIS, Shiites, North Province, increments, Fallujah, and increments for the primary Bush campaign, primary campaign, and Ronald Reagan's campaign. Those are called Pisces. That's 2001. So they got YouTube, Facebook, all these Pisces, ISIS, Teleman, Koreans, Vietnamese, Chinese. As Mr. J. Mueller would say, gook, chinks, beaners, convict criminals, wannabes, convicted felons. And go, when I'm eating at the table, you know what he said? I don't want no cops, pigs, chinks, gooks. I don't want no fucking cop in my room or any individual. I don't want nobody here. Just you. Just you and me. That's what he said. And the guy that cummed in her, another guy that cummed in her, another guy that cummed in her, another guy that cummed and stuck his dick all in her, and then they had all this. And then they realized, you gotta pull that down and start all over again. Steve H. Sackman, 45 East Hemlock Street, Othello, Washington, 509-488-5636. Brandon West is Wash Criminal Defense Lawyer, 10 North Street, Suite 647, Spokane, Washington, 99201, 509-747-2855. 509-463-77 is the fax. Brandon West Lodge at, and what, public a Paisa, a Taliban communist, antichrist, Satan worshiper, talking to Brandon, say Felix Barela is right here in court right now, and you are not here. There is something wrong. Is Scudder the representative counsel for the sealed documentation that's on his back 7 days a week, 24 hours, 7 days a week? Is there a God? Is there a sword coming out of the mouth? Is he fighting Satan today, or is this real? Is this making the movie, or is this a real thing? Is this? Can we get some signed documentation? Can we get your blood? Are you real, or is this something wrong? I think something's wrong with you for one fact, because this guy didn't even show up to court for one. Superior District Court and also the Chief Justice Department called these guys that came on with the documentations false prophets, convicts, criminal convicts that have no records, but they're walking around with no records with uniforms on. They said they're nobody. And it came out of Jay Mueller's mouth from day one. Very sophisticated individual. They call him Yoda. Master Yoda. Jabba the Hutt and also Yoba, Jabba Hutt and Skubba the Hutt. Chewbacca and also the Ewoks. Ewok family. Pisces is what they're called. So they're going to get a new statue. Right? That's going to be a new statue. We're getting a new replacement foundation and some rebar, concrete, some slabs, and also, which they didn't have, a nuclear fallout shelter and tunnel system. They're going to supply all children. Of course, that's what happens when you have sex with Roberta Barela. You come all in her vaginas, and the orifices of the individual of a mile intestine stomach valve movement that comes out of the uterus and fallopian tubes, and being left at the Tri-City Herald with a bunch of stomach and tissues and is that baby dead? That's a dead baby at the Tri-City Herald? No, that's Felix Barela. That's Felix Barela. That's good for the community of LDS, CPS, DH, CPS, and agencies throughout all the world of 50 states. See, calling every senator, and there was one wrong email address. Out of all senators, there is one wrong email address. He's not here no more. He's no longer here. That guy that was on the phone talking to Felix Barela, he's not here no more. Because everybody in the Mid-Columbia Library testified against every senator. There's Patty Murray and Sam Cantwell, but this email address, Microsoft, number 10, Microsoft Recovery, Surface 7th Generation 10, 11, S10, S10, 11, and 12, S9, S10, and also the Apple iOS. So that's corruption right there. So nobody lies, no one applies, suggests some intimidation. You're pleading guilty for this charge. I want to take a gun to your head and Pasco, Washington, blow your head off with this AR-15 for Fitzpatrick, of course. Killing Lola Hernandez, taking the baby from her, pushing her down, breaking her ankle for one. That's a good plus. That's good. You're going somewhere in life. But there's a dead body in the background. Look. It says Mr. Soderman. But yet his children run around, call him a piece of shit now. They don't even like their own father because they know the truth. George Tyler Wallace, PLC Attorney at Law, 56 C Street, Northwest, P.O. Box 876, Fredo, Washington, 98823. Phone number is 509-754-5264. Fax is 509-754-5835. WWA Firm. You see that Black Panther in the background there? See, that Black Panther was confined at Benton County Justice Department by Glenn Butner, Joe Johnson, Increments Services, the Kennewick Man, of course, myself. Kennewick Man. Me in Kennewick Man Ground Foundation. There's a black guy that just ran right by me. There's ants all over him. He's screaming. Ants all over, screaming, rolling on the ground like he's on fire. He says that when he got bit, it was like fire. He was like dying or something, screaming. He's like, ah! Black Panther, right there. rolling on the ground right there. The other Black Panther, he hit the tree and his head hit the high impact rainbird. And that's Mr. Todd's story. See, that's your story. I'll tell you the story. That's your story, but let me tell you the side story. I was attacked on the sidewalk and then walked all the way to court. I got the document that says walking to animals. It's right here. Sealed document. It's sealed. Putting things in people's mouth and then wiring somebody's teeth down and then saying I can't talk, there's something you can't say. I mean, that's a bunch of shit. That's a bunch of lies. That's a bunch of bullshit. And what do you think? My teeth look beautiful, actually. There's no overbite and retainer. I'm missing the retainer because I had to go for 2 years with my teeth closed. Wire in my teeth for 2-3 years, and then wire shut for almost a year. More power to you. How'd that work out for you? Stephen W. Reagan, Kenneth W. Chadwick, Natalie Hoverdam, and that's 509-755-5264, fax 509-754-5835.